Spencer here with episode 3 of my Handyman Diaries. I would say the number 1 thing I do is drive around. The number 2 thing I do, go to the hardware store and buy stuff for jobs. And then number 3 would probably be actually fixing stuff. It seems like every house needs this. Resealing that joint, that connection between the house and whatever concrete is around the house. If you don't seal it up, you're definitely gonna get water in there. I used some polyurethane sealant on this just because, 9 out of 10 dentists recommend polyurethane. Then I used a wet finger to make it all pretty. I know some people use a tool for this or a spoon, and that's fine, that's cool, but I'm just still a wet finger kind of guy. Then my buddy Brian and I hauled some sticks and decomposing whatever he had out from behind the side of his rental house. I was going to add to our load of sticks and debris and whatnot some more sticks and twigs from another job that I had done earlier in the day in that same neighborhood, but that didn't quite work out. The gal, for whatever reason, didn't want me to pick up the stuff, so we just hauled his stuff and that was it. It's like decorative. Okay, I've got to introduce you to something that you might not know about. It's called the dirt stash. And you're looking at it. It looks like a stash, but in fact what's going on is that it's a lot of dirt stuck in there. It gets kind of sweaty and wet and then it gets dirty. All right, dirt stash. You saw it here first on the Handyman Diaries, episode 3. It was supposed to be a painting day today. We got 98% humidity, so the paint's not gonna dry. You want it to dry, not in like 5 days, but in like a couple hours. Anyway, so I did some paint prep instead, got all my tape on the walls. Wow, that semi just ran a red light. I'm gonna go back to the shop and get stuff sorted. It's the end of the week and the truck is just full of junk. Like all kinds of stuff I've torn out of places, materials from different jobs, and I'm just gonna get it squared away so that it's in good shape at the beginning of next week. After I cleaned out the truck, one thing I really needed to do, it had been like on my list for a while, was to tune up my shorter extension ladder. It just hasn't been sliding well since I got it, and I've been eyeing new ones at the hardware store, but this old one, it's okay, and it seems like it's worth tuning it up, or at least trying to tune it up. I did buy it for like $5 at a garage sale, but it's a Werner, it's not so bad. But check it out, the rails are just like a little bit tweaked, and I think that's true on the other side too. Tweaked rails means this thing doesn't slide. I'm just gonna see if I can straighten them up and get it to run a little bit better, and maybe grease them. I don't know if anyone greases the ladder, but I might try it. Now, if I had to tell you one tool that I use the most often, like, the tool I use all the time, like every single day, it would be my ladder, or all of my ladders actually. You show up at a house and the next thing you know, you're up on your ladder. So for budding handymen and women out there, get a decent ladder. Get a couple decent ladders. You're gonna be on the dang thing like 10 times a day. All right, now I have no idea if this is kosher, but I'm going for some serious grease on these channels. These ladders, they've got a slide, and I just figure, this old thing, it's probably 50 years old. Might slide a little better if I just grease it up a little bit. All right, so we got the ladder kind of scraped, straightened out, and greased. Now I'm just gonna put it together and put a rope on it. It's never had a pull rope on it since I've got it, since I've owned it. So I'm just gonna do that and we'll see how it goes. It's like so much better. All right, next step is just to put a rope on it. Man, I was crazy to think I needed a new ladder. That guy is running as good as it ever was, maybe better. A little grease, that rope, all those wrinkles in the metal taken out of it. I carry 4 ladders. I've got that one, which is like 13, 15 feet. And then I've got this dude, which is like a 40 footer, like a really big ladder. Really not fun to have to move around if you have to. And then I just carry 2 other guys. I got an 8 footer and a 6 footer. That 8-foot ladder is nasty. Not the best ladder, but it's working. I'd love to replace it, but I just haven't yet. And once the rain passed, I got the chance, no big surprise, to run that ladder again. And this time I was removing some branches that were overhanging a house. So the branches had been like falling on the roof and gumming up the gutters and all that stuff. Now, if I was in charge of things, I would ban trees within like 50 feet of houses or maybe 100 feet of houses, just because they just create so much damage to the house, not only in the foundation, but up on the roof and the gutters and everything. And I know saying this that I would also be putting myself out of work. But seriously, people, get your trees back away from your houses. They just mess things up. So the deal, you can probably see, is that there's a dead limb across this way. And you know, it's tempting to try to take it out, but it's just gonna fall in the house or it's gonna fall on me. So I'm gonna use my better judgment and not try to take that guy out unless I can get a top anchor or something, but that is for another day. And this is the big old pile of branches that I cut. And I know that if I broke them all down and cut them in like smaller pieces, they would fit in the truck a lot better. But I always just throw them in the truck in these big old pieces, you know, like full branches. I guess it's just an old habit. I actually had a station wagon that I used to do the same thing with. I would like shove the branches in the station wagon. Anyway, old habits die hard. And now that I think of it, I should really start bringing my dump truck on these jobs. Now I've found that if you get on the interstate with a load like this, there's almost nothing left by the time you get home. Okay, that's the tree job. Pretty much done. There's one more branch I need to get, but I think I'll just leave this in the driveway right now and get some dinner. Tomorrow I've got 3 jobs, the painting job. Then there's a guy who called and he's got some windows up on a 2nd story that need to be caulked. And after that, I've got to install some soffit lights. Melissa's gotten used to stuff enough by now that I don't think this is gonna faze her. I'm just gonna leave this in the driveway for a couple days. I'll figure out what to do with it. All right, so this is the first zone. This is the first head. All right, now this is just weird. The deal is that I recorded this video not for you guys. It wasn't like a video to put on YouTube or anything. I recorded it for myself because I was out mapping out the exact locations of these people's sprinkler heads in all the different zones on their property. And I was making them like an irrigation map, you know, so they could find their heads in the future if they break or if they're buried or whatever. So what I did is I ran around getting sprayed on by the system for a while. And, you know, I wrote it all down on a map, and then I cut this video to kind of like show me the exact location of everything. Anyway, after that, I went home and cooked up this map using Google Maps. And I think it looked pretty good. I color-coded the zones and noted all the head locations and sent it to the people, and that was done. So I'm over here at what I've been referring to as the painting job. I just got an interesting phone call. If you remember a while back, I was working at a big kind of department store, rebuilding a janitorial closet. Well, the company that has the contract for all these department stores gave me a call and said, hey Spencer, can you replace a urinal at another big department store, I won't say the brand, like today or tomorrow, and it's in Springfield, so like a couple cities over. I said no. I almost always say yes to stuff. It's like, that would probably be good money and kind of an interesting job, but I said no. I'm just busy. I've got a lot of other things, and driving to Springfield to fix a urinal or install a urinal, it just didn't sound as fun as it should have, or it could have. Then after that, kind of late in the afternoon, I put an L-shaped desk together for a dude in a brand spanking new house. Like that house, it couldn't have been like a week old. And the desk took me 2 hours to assemble. Last week, I did a futon, 2 beds, and a TV table thingy in less time than it took me to assemble this one desk. So I'm doing a painting all day today, trying to finish that painting job I keep talking about. And I was doing the last ceiling, and I ran out of paint. So I've got a gallon more of paint to go by, and I just took the truck by the house and picked up the dogs, just because they like to take a ride to the hardware store. So anyway, taking the dogs to the hardware store in the middle of the day to get a gallon of paint, and then I'll go back and finish that job, hopefully before the gal comes home, just so it'll be all nice when she gets there. If she comes home in the middle of the job, that's okay too. All right, I got the paint, back to the house to drop these dogs off, and then I'll go finish up that ceiling. So, Pinky Sue, do you want to play? Do you want to play? What do you want to play? You want to play Frisbee? Or do you want to play fetch? Oh, that was quite a moment. You know, I was watching that thing for the last couple days, and it finally flew free, so I guess it's some kind of sign. Maybe I'm turning over a new leaf or something. Okay, that's it for this installment of my Handyman Diaries. This is a journal from the life of maintenance, home repair, and the occasional lunch break.